Hello everybody and welcome to Donkey Kong. That's it, just Donkey Kong. That's how the original arcade game where both Donkey Kong and Mario made their debut. Finally, the Arcade Archive series by Hamster finally released this on the Switch. For a long, basically for some history, we had the early version, the original version, a later patched up version, and the American release. But we're not going to play the American release because the American release is basically an easy mode that only has 2 levels. Basically going back to that earlier thing of, the same thing with this Lost Levels kind of logic where Americans can play video games for some reason.
Which is funny because later we would get the hard modes of certain things while Japanese would get their easy modes.
Yeah, all times.
Alright, so what is the story of Donkey Kong? It's this exactly that you're seeing right now. By the way, I love the sound effect of Donkey laughing. Listen to this. How high can you get? Alright, for you young ones who have you played Mario Odyssey and you've wondered what exactly was up with that festival where we were climbing things and dodging barrels? Well, it was a direct reference to this game. This was the game that got Miyamoto on the map. Donkey Kong, where as you can see there, that's Mario right there. You're playing as. At this point, he didn't have a name. He was called Jumpman. Yeah, he was called Jumpman at the time, and that there is Donkey Kong. Well, specifically as
Cranky Kong.
Yeah,
this is technically Cranky, but
this is Cranky Kong, and that right there is the official design of Pauline that you're seeing right there.
Yep, that's right.
Very different from how she looks in Odyssey. She had a lot done.
Not just that story, Pauline's look up even before Odyssey, with March of the Minis.
Here's a fun fact. This is a very long-awaited release from my part because for a long time, and Nintendo has only been re-releasing the NES port of this game, which is an inferior port that looks worse and has a level missing. But now that
I would say though the NES port has a bit of a better audio quality. I don't know what's with
True,
this.
but that doesn't excuse the loss of one level.
I mean, for a game like this, audio is the last thing you need to care about.
True. Anyway, yeah. But not to mention, Teo, I want to play the original arcade classic by Miyamoto, not a port that's downgraded in graphics.
And there you go. Oh, bummer.
Alright, so now the next level, 50 meters. Alright, so here's the basic gist of it. Donkey Kong is basically one of the very first, if not the first, platformer game where you have to jump and climb to reach Pauline. This was, like I said, this was the game that put Miyamoto on the map, and as you can see, this is a game that is very simplistic. There's only 4 levels in the entire thing. Fortunately, since this level in particular is not in the NES version, for example, too.
Okay.
This particular game is one that I really like because it's a simple game, but obviously it was really complex and interesting and innovative for the time, and it's an important piece of gaming history. For those who don't know, Nintendo actually had a Universal lawsuit because of this game, because Universal tried to sue them because they were infringing on the on the King Kong brand. Never mind the fact that King Kong is public domain.
Well, here's the thing, Pedro. Considering how even James Cameron was able to, copyright the name Avatar when it came to cinematics, let's just say the cinematic world does not handle copyright.
However, things turned out for the better. Not only Nintendo managed to still maintain the name and brand of King Kong, but we were saved by a particular a lawyer called, I forgot the first name, but the last one was Kirby. And in his honor, they created an entire character. They dedicated his name to a particular character that Masahiro Sakurai made a game on.
I still don't understand what exactly Kirby is.
It's a cute pop ball of death.
There's one particular difference between this level and the other levels.
Go ahead, Pedro, sorry.
Oh, by the way, the hammer. This is there you go. Now you know where the hammer comes from.
Oh yeah, the hammer, which you may remember, one of the most dreaded weapons to be used in the Smash Bros. Game.
Indeed.
Also, was
trust me, that thing's a thing of magic.
The gimmick of this level is to take out all the screws so that the stretcher falls and Donkey Kong falls. Basically get to all the screws. The problem is the original arcade version is a lot harder than the NES port, so it can be quite difficult to get there. There you go.
As was typical.
Yeah, fortunately, ever since the Switch came out, Hamster, for those who don't know, Hamster is a developer who's been releasing pitch-perfect arcade emulations on the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Live. Ever since the Switch came out, Hamster did a partnership with Nintendo, where they would also release those same arcade ports on the Switch, as well as some Switch exclusive ports of the original arcade games that Nintendo made before they quit the arcade business.
Are we also responsible for porting the original Punch-Out arcade?
Yes, that's the arcade.
Great, now I can see Pizza Pasta in glorious.
You know what's ironic?
Right, they also ported Mario Brothers, and I think there's in Versus Super Mario Brothers, aka the arcade version of Super Mario Brothers.
Really?
Yes.
You know what's ironic though? It's like, well, Universal may have sued Nintendo back in the day, and yet now
Hold on,
the two
and
are
then-
in cahoots to making a new theme park. Bye bye.
Yay.
The day is saved, and that's it. That's Donkey Kong. As you can see, it's a very short game. However,
It's an arcade game.
once you complete it, the game starts over with a harder difficulty.
Oh jeez.
Yep. As you would expect from an arcade machine.
Only
Basically, the game
designed
just
to eat up your forces.
keeps looping until you lose all your credits and you have to insert more coins. There you go.
So, Pedro, have you made it to the fabled final level?
There's no other
You know
levels
what
than the
I
ones
mean,
I've shown.
Michael.
It's similar to Isn't it similar to Pac-Man, where is one where the game just glitches out?
No, that I'm familiar with. My history of this game is the first time I played this game was in Donkey Kong 64, because for those who don't know, and I'll also be showing it off when I record that game, there's a special little there's two specific Easter eggs in Donkey Kong 64. You can play this game, the original arcade version that we're playing right now, and Jetpack, Rareware's first ever game. So it was through Donkey Kong 64 that I first played this game, and it's always been, and I've had a soft spot for this particular classic since then. And unlike most people who first played the NES port, I played it first through the arcade version that came with Donkey Kong 64, which is why I've always been a bit, antsy about Nintendo not releasing the original Miyamoto classic on, for modern systems. But finally, thanks to Hamster, we finally have it on the Switch. So thanks, Hamster.
It's a nice touch.
Lovely.
I mean, like I said, the NES port does not have the second level of the original arcade, so better sound quality aside, the truth of the matter is that this is still the definitive version of this game. So yeah, that was Donkey Kong. Like I said, it's a simple game, but of course it's a 1981 game, so what can you expect? It's a classic. It's a classic that of course will lead on to much greater things. So obviously it's an important piece of Nintendo history.
We are, of course, referring to Donkey Kong Jr. as those greater things.
Yeah. That's another thing. The sequels, Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong 3, have yet to be released on the Switch, but I'm pretty sure they'll come soon enough. So we'll also get to those eventually. So Terry, what do you think of the game?
Pretty much what you said. It's a very important piece in arcade history. And it's a very nice game. Unlike what Pixels will try to tell you. Thank you, Happy Madison. So yeah, it's a really cool classic and very simplistic, but also very appreciative. And it's nice to see that Nintendo still allow this franchise to grow thanks to the efforts of Rare, as we will see later games. But this one is also important on its own, of course. So yeah, definitely a plus for me.
Go ahead, Shiri.
Well, it's a classic. It's fine. It's an arcade game, and it led to a lot of great things. So, yay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really grow up playing arcade games.
Well, Shiri, now you have a much greater context for when you play the festival in Super Mario Odyssey.
Well, I mean, anyone around my age group and older are familiar with this anyway, regardless of whether we've actually played it or not.
Nintendo does reference this game a lot.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
very
and I mean,
much
like, well, they
familiar
have
with the
lots of
history of
ports
this
of it.
particular arcade game, so
Indeed.
there's no need for the context.
And now new generations can finally play the original Miyamoto classic instead of the NES downgraded port. So that's even better for that. All right, Jova.
Getting some better sound cards.
All right, Jova, finish us off.
Yeah, this game's a classic as per se. And, what more can I say, actually? It's just a really great game. Well,
For its time. Yeah. There are some problems with it. Like, for example, you have falling damage, and it's fall damage that kills you instantly. Like, for example, if you're jumping from a platform to platform, make sure you're not far away, because if you fall from more than like twice the distance of your size, you'll die for some reason, even if you're falling into a platform. It's it just reeks of 1981 dated design. However, if you're used to it like I am, you'll be fine. Like I said, but again, for its time, this is fine.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty good game of a classic. And we have this game to thank for plenty more that would come down the line, culminating with, as of now, Super Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that upcoming Donkey Kong Rabbids DLC, which is looking tight.
Yes.
All right.
So we'll see for the next thing oriented with Mario, Donkey Kong, or Pauline.
I'll probably also make a Let's Look of Mario Brothers while we wait for the sequels, because Mario Brothers was the next Miyamoto classic that came after this, where Luigi made his premiere. So tune in for that.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.